Yay! I don't know if you all celebrate Happy Cinco de Mayo. Yesterday was May the 4th be with you, and today is Cinco de Mayo. So, for Star Wars fans, I'm a Star Trek person. Not that I didn't like Star Wars. I saw the first movie when I was a kid.
Yeah,
So
but did you watch anything yesterday?
no,
You had to put something on. You have to watch one of the movies.
I watched the third Star. I watched repeats of Stargate. I
Wrong
did.
sci-fi.
Well, I was watching. No, you know what? Paramount owns all the Star Treks. So if I want to watch, I either got to go to Pluto and watch with
It's Star
commercials.
Wars. It's not Star Trek. It's Star
Oh,
Wars. It's
Star Wars.
Disney.
Oh, well, no, I didn't watch Star. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, I got rid of Disney Hulu also.
May the 4th is about Star Wars.
I know it's about Star Wars, but I just told you I'm a Star Trek fan. So the
Ah,
only sci-fi and a Stargate fan, and I'm just not. I'm not into the all folklore of Star Wars. Although I did play Star Wars Galaxy. What was it? Star Wars Galaxies back when it was the first MMO. I played that like 20 years ago.
it.
And
I watched episodes 1, 2, and 3. Okay, leading into yesterday, and I have to say, never thought a trade war, a trade embargo, right, where a major trade route is blockaded, right, could cause a universal, like a world war. Like I never thought. Like I thought the plot
was
of
too close
Star,
to
like
home.
the first three episodes, I honestly back in the day thought it like this is absurd. This is completely absurd. Not only is the dialogue campy, but I really thought that the plot was so completely absurd, right? That could never happen. And now I'm like living it. Now I'm like living it.
Oh my God,
Now
that
we're
is too
living it.
funny.
It's like unbelievable. And like I don't understand how Americans like don't like see, right, that like Trump is Palpatine, and like this is the empire, and like
I oh,
it's
he's
like
not
it
Darth.
amazes me.
You think
It
he's
just
more
amazes
Palpatine?
the whole thing just amazes me.
Yeah.
Like how predictable all this shit actually was, back in the day, and we continue to make predictions that come true.
Yes. Oh yeah. Tell me about it.
Be- because people just don't, they're not putting two and two together, which is really really frustrating.
Tell me about
Like
it.
I mean,
It
there's just so much going on. It's like
oh my God.
unbelievable.
I know. So it's like, yeah, like we have the cartoon, literally like a cartoon villain. Hey,
Yep.
Marty. Marty's saying hi to everyone. We got to get Marty on here. There he is. Hey, guys. Yeah, it's like we have like cartoon villainry. And it gets, you know, more and more interesting each day and more like just like a movie, a bad
Well,
one.
he made another, our president in chief, right? He made another statement today about bringing freedom to Cuba. And I'm sorry. I live in America, and you're literally taking freedom away from people.
Yes.
Okay? We now no longer have the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Seventh Amendment, the Ninth Amendment, the Tenth Amendment, and the 14th Amendment. Like
Which ones do we have?
all of those got thrown out the window. And I'm sorry, if you have to look those up, you're in trouble, right? Because you should know what those are. Okay? But I know that there are people who are like, I don't know what those amendments are. Google them, right? Like do some research on your own, right? It's not for me to tell you, right? But after hearing all the 2A people out there, right? Right? And
That's the one they
they
know.
that's the one they know, right, completely throw out 4A, right, in an effort to pass the SAFE Act, right, it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit to me. Like I'm sorry, I have a right to live in America, right, without being asked for my papers. That is my right, right? That is not that is not a privilege, right? That isn't a privilege of me being born an American. That's
It's
a
an
right,
inalienable right. An
right?
inalienable right.
It's actually in the fucking Constitution. Read it. You know, I used to have a board member that used to love to hand out pocket constitutions, and he's loving this shit,
Really?
right? Like, you know, like read the fucking Constitution. Read it. Tell me how these things are how we're not violating these amendments. Tell me how this is okay.
Number
Anything in this
11.
country is okay.
Yeah, no, it's not. This is not okay. This is not acceptable. And it's interesting that you bring up the Constitution because I was watching one of the podcasters I follow was reporting on. I guess Trump has put up for appointment more judges, right? And now we do a whole bunch of judges at once, right? Not one at a time. So
Thank
I
you,
think
Schumer, by the way. Thank you, Schumer, by the way, for that, because that was all Schumer that did that.
Jesus Christ.
That was Schumer and the Democrats that did that. That was so as much as the Democrats love to talk about that, and I'm going to give you a second to finish that statement. I just want to point out that deal, right, to put up all these judges at once for nomination, that was done in September because Schumer wanted to go home. So he made a deal, right, that they would get to go home, right, and do a CR, right, and they would allow for the judges to be done en masse like this.
Unbelievable.
That was a Schumer deal. That was what Schumer did. So let's just, I want to give credit where credit is due.
Unbelievable.
Thank you, Schumer. All right. Sorry, continue, please.
So no, continue. So it was brought up in the questioning. They had the whole row of potential appointees sitting there, and I forgot which senator was questioning them. But the question was pretty simple: do you know what the 22nd Amendment means? And starting with asking about the 22nd Amendment, and does that apply to Trump? So for those who don't know, the 22nd Amendment was the amendment that they created after FDR, which limits a president's term to just 2 terms. Do you know not one of those potential judges would answer the question? Well, I have to get more information. Well, one was like, well, I was a criminal prosecutor. I'm not really. You're not familiar with the Constitution? And the guy was like, I'm pretty sure you know the 4th Amendment. I'm pretty sure you know the 5th Amendment. You're going to be a federal judge. You're going to have to deal with the Constitution. Maybe you should fucking know it, right? Didn't know. And then when it was defined for them, they still wouldn't say whether Trump was done if he could run again for a 3rd term. He can't. They wouldn't say no, he can't. They just would not answer because they don't want to be thrown out from a lifetime appointment as a judge if they say something negative like, hey, Trump, you've been elected twice. Well, one guy put a response when said, he's been elected twice. It says the wording of the 22nd Amendment says, a president cannot be elected more than twice. Well, they said, well, he was certified twice, was the answer. Not elected, certified. Like, this is the kind of comedy which is now real life that we deal with every day. That we now have judges who I guess this is the new flex they're going to try to do to get him to run for a 3rd term.
This isn't a flex. This isn't a flex, right? This is without a doubt, right? Like Trump in his so before Trump got elected in 2016, okay? One of the reasons why he got elected in that election was he stood up at the podium and he says, he flat out said, I don't pay taxes. He flat out said, right, the rules don't apply to me. In fact, the rules don't apply to any billionaires, right? Those rules are for you. Those rules aren't for me, right? But what got people interested in him and why he won the election was he said, I'm going to change that. Okay? Right? Like, that's what he said. He said, I'm going to change it. Just like he said in this past election, I'm going to bring down the prices of eggs and fuel and all this other crap. It's just a lie,
Oh
right?
yeah.
The fact is that the billionaires in this country have basically said they can do whatever they want. There are no laws for them, right? I forgot what it was. I think it was Indiana. Okay, they just passed a law, right, that allows Bear, right, the company Bear, I believe
Bear
it is,
aspirin.
right, Bear aspirin, right, to basically they're allowed to kill 100 people, okay, as long as they put a disclosure on their website.
I'm sorry. Kill?
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
like just run tests on humans?
I guess it has to do with like they have this new project going on, right? That's going to require them to do dumping, right? You know, and there's a good chance there'll be an environmental impact, right? To the project that they're going to do. That environmental impact will be negative on people. Okay? So the Indiana legislature basically said, listen, we'll give you immunity because we want the project. Right? And this is what your local politicians, right? Not only local politicians, this is what I mean when I get into state and local government, right? So you lobby the state to have the rules changed for you, okay? Then you lobby your local municipality to get the project that the state just gave you immunity for. All right? This is what's happening in your state. And if you think that Indiana is the only state where this is happening, it's wrong. Okay? This is every state it's happening in. This is how politics works. This is why your local politicians, this is why your state politicians, this is why it's important to elect good people. All right? And not people who are just going to take the money, right? Especially like when it comes to developing and developers, right? Like if you're electing to your local board a developer, you should really be strongly questioning, right, your choices, whether that person's Democrat or Republican, because they're getting the reason that they're running for that position is they're getting something out of it. Okay?
Yeah.
And we just shouldn't be allowing any of that. You know, there should be make sure there's a strong code of ethics in your local municipality, right? Make sure that there are disclosures, right? That people are disclosing what they're supposed to be disclosing. We saw when I was on the town board in the town of Waco, nobody disclosed anything. They didn't disclose their nepotism. They didn't disclose their private dealings. They didn't disclose anything, right? You know, one of the board members hired their son and didn't recuse himself and didn't disclose that they were related when they hired him. You
can't make this stuff up.
I mean, you know, we have to do better in electing people. We just really need to do better, and we really need to ask questions, right? Because you're seeing flock cameras, right? I mean, not to get all over the place here, because I think it all is the same thing. Everybody sees flock cameras everywhere, right? But who's installing those? It's not the federal government. It's not the state. They're giving the money to do it, but your local municipality is the one that made the decision.
So by municipality to municipality can decide whether to install those cameras or not.
It is a municipality decision. There I believe there was one municipality that came out, don't remember the name, that came out recently in New York that is taking down their flock cameras. They've decided,
Really?
yeah, they put them up and then they decided to take them down. They decided that it wasn't worth it because the public decided that they were going to say no, we don't want these cameras. The federal government is giving a lot of money for these cameras. Right? They are throwing money at local municipalities to install these cameras and install them fast.
Yeah, because they want to watch us. Because they want to watch us. Yeah, surveillance state. I said that just the other day. We
even
are in
even
a.
in your car, even in your car, like, right, I mean, the patents just got filed. We saw Congress just passed a law, right, that in 3 or 4 years, okay, all our cars are going to be subject to automatic turnoff, right?
I
And
thought that
so,
came out in 2026, in
yeah,
2026 models.
no, it's implementation is going to be in a few years. The Yeah. So they passed it in 2026, and then they have an implementation period.
And what are the grounds for which they can just go and shut your car off?
So that's interesting. So there was a woman who apparently some European countries have already done this. Okay? And what it was apparently one woman had driven one of these cars in in Europe, and she says it focuses on your eyes. So your eyes have to be visible to it. So it has to see your entire face. If it can't see your face, your car ain't going anywhere, right?
Wow.
If your eyes are like dilated a certain way, like if you like it's not just drugs, right? Like that could happen if you have fear or if there's like an emergency, right? Your eye, right? Your car could essentially not work. You
Wow.
could get in
Yeah,
your car in an emergency and it won't go anywhere.
so you know what? It's so funny that you bring that up because yeah, Marty sent me a link to a video that it's supposed to be Democratic commercials showing really dramatic commercials, and or was it that one, or maybe it was a different one. I think it was the different one I sent you. So it's two people, like a
Yep.
grandma and her son are on a farm. There's a tornado coming. They run to the car. They go in. They're freaking out. We gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go. They're freaking out. And this is to characterize what's happening here. And the car doesn't want to go. Like, I'm
Yep.
sorry. I'm detecting stress levels. I'm detecting you're not ready. Please calm down. And then you could. Who came up with this? Your government did. Like the car is talking back to them and telling them what's happening. But yeah, there's already like commercials to show this situation. If you had to get in your car, you had to run, you had to get out of town. Your car is not going to let you if it detects that you are under stress or hypertensive. Or this is.
If
I'm
it because
sorry.
it needs to see your eyes. This woman described a story about her trying to merge with traffic. Okay, no lie, she was merging into traffic, and like sometimes when you merge into traffic, depending on like how traffic is, you have to lean over to the steering wheel and kind of look
Yeah,
back, right?
yeah.
Because of visibility and stuff like that. The car couldn't see her eyes because she was leaning over the steering wheel trying to merge, right? So the car, and she was stepping on the gas to merge, and the car wouldn't merge. The car wouldn't go anywhere. The car completely like was
Shut off.
and didn't shut off. It just gave her a message saying, "We can't see your eyes. We're not going to go anywhere."
Poor Marty says, "Damn, I'll never be able to drive again."
It it was the craziest thing, and she had this whole thing like she was like, "That's coming to America soon," and again, this all goes to right the idea that we won't own anything, right? Our cars will be, they if they have control of your car, then you don't own your car. You may pay
That's
for
it.
it, but you don't own it if you can't control it, right? If that's not in your possession or control, if somebody else is going to be doing that, right? I mean, we have to go along those lines. Like, this is what we're seeing. You don't own
Yeah.
anything.
What do you guys think about that? I mean, this is going into other things, right? I had the example with my freaking printer, right? You have to, I got rid of the subscription, and so I'm just going to go and buy my own ink. The whole idea is, oh, you subscribe, and then you get discount ink. So, yeah, they owe me some ink, but yeah, you can't open up your printer and use your printer because, I don't know, because you didn't pay for your subscription or something like that. It's just ridiculous. Like, let me print with the ink that I have. That's how it used to be. Like, if you've got like 3 colors and black and you run out of the black, you can use the 3 colors. So this goes on to other things.
But
Anything they can.
This is all stems from going back to what we were talking about before. This all stems from that politicians are again, I go to in our capitalist model or uber capitalist model, everything is for sale.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Everything's for sale. Or the other side of it, everything can be bought. So the idea
prove it every
is
day.
Right, is that your politicians are, to get reelected, to get money, to get whatever it is that they need to get, they feel they need to win, right? You are getting sold out. And that's really what it comes down to. You're getting sold out. And what I find is interesting is I was at the Middletown High School tonight, their National Honor Society induction ceremony, and one guy talked about leadership, right? The keynote speaker talked about leadership. Leadership is this idea, right, that you are going to stand for something, right? You are going to bring other people up, okay? Other people are going to want to follow you, okay? And as a result of that, right, that means sometimes you have to be strong.
Yeah.
And you have to and you have to lead by setting an example. I don't think anybody looks at our politicians today and say, please, yeah, I want to follow that fucking guy. I don't think anybody wants to follow them. I don't listen, if you had to follow Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Mike Johnson, right? Whatever his name is, Lindsey Graham. If you had to follow any of these guys in the battle, right? And we're at war right now. Remember, we're at war. These are the people who are leading your war. Okay? If that doesn't scare the living shit out of you, I don't know what does. Right? These are not leaders. These people have no moral backbone whatsoever. Okay? All they are there for are themselves. They are selling every single vote that comes to the floor.
Yeah.
Okay? Every vote. Both Democrats and Republicans are selling every vote that comes to the floor. Okay? Don't think that ethics, morals, that people have some type of background. I mean, there are some people who are very principled who are in Congress, and we vilify them all the time. Okay?
Yes, well, they're the ones that get attacked.
Right. Pramila, J. Paul, AOC, Mamdani gets attacked, right? Like, all these people get attacked. And for what? For advocating for their constituents and their residents? I'm sorry, you don't live there. You don't know what they want. They obviously want what this person... You may not like it, and you may not want it in your life, but obviously their constituents do want that, right? So rather than attacking her, how about making a better fucking argument for whatever it is that you're advocating for, instead of just attacking somebody else who's actually advocating for something? That's leadership. AOC is showing leadership. The other side, they aren't showing leadership. All they are showing is that they're bullies, right? And they whatever.
They're showing that they're insecure, then
Yes.
that they're no longer working for their constituents. Right? I mean, we're seeing that, right? We're seeing there were a lot of promises made, right? We're going to bring costs down. We're going to do, no more forever wars. Well, we blew through that. I think Marty said earlier where I think he started like 11 wars. I mean, we bombed other countries too. Eh, It's the it's now that they have power, they no longer feel that they need to work for us anymore. They have the power and they're working for their wealthy donors. And I mentioned in our most recent recorded episode, non-live episode, about how Brooke Rollins, she's like the agriculture secretary, was like gloating about cutting 4.5 million Americans off of SNAP benefits. That's children, that's elderly. That could be the elderly. And she didn't specify. She was actually smiling. She thought it was a great thing. And we've already cut millions off. And that is, people don't see the big picture of this. People just see waste, fraud, and abuse. It's another slogan. What you don't look at is the overall picture of what SNAP benefits does. SNAP benefits doesn't just feed people or supplement people who are on either fixed incomes or lower incomes, but it also employs the farmers to grow the food. Like nobody talks about that. Same thing with USAID. It employed thousands of farmers across the country to grow food that we fed the world. Like that's something to be proud of. No, instead now it's the billionaires didn't like it. They need people to die. So we now, since that program was cut off, it's estimated between 600 and 750,000 people have now died, and hundreds of thousands more are starving right now in the regions that USAID was. But at the same time, here in this country, because of the loss of USAID, the loss of SNAP, not to mention the tariffs, in 2025, 10,000 farms, roughly 10,000 farms disappeared. Basically, either went out of business, had to sell out to commercial, corporations. They're not here anymore, which means we have less growers. At a time now when this idiot is this war is going on, and we might not be getting as much fertilizer, so that's going to impact the growing season for the farmers that are left. Like it seems their whole theme is to cut off food and find ways to make people across the world, including here in this country, starve or get sick and die without medical care. I mean, does anybody else see this theme going on?
The value of any society is how you spend your money. Okay? It's not about the rhetoric that you espouse. It's not even about the values you say you care about, because the values you say you care about should show up in the money that you spend. Okay? And that isn't happening. All you need to do is look at the SNAP benefits, right? Look at the bill that is going through Congress right now, right? The Homeland Security bill.
Oh
Okay?
God.
All right. They just added $1 billion, not to help, people get on health care, not to help the 2 million people who just got thrown off of health care, right? The ACA health care, right? Not to provide subsidies, right, for them, not to help out the farmers. No, $1 billion for Donald Trump and his ballroom.
Yeah.
Let them eat cake. That is what they are telling you now. Let them eat cake. They don't care about you. They don't care about your money. In fact, the only thing they care about your money is if your money becomes their money.
Their money.
That is it. All right? Their values are ballrooms and tax breaks for the Epstein class, right? So that not so that they can provide jobs, right? But so that they can kidnap children.
Yeah,
Like,
that's another story about that.
This this to me, this isn't my America. This isn't the America I grew up in, right? This isn't even the community I grew up in, right? Like, I mean, I was a councilman for 8 years, and there were people from all walks of life who were willing to get together and work together for common causes and common good. Okay? It wasn't until the partisanship of George Serrano that everything became Democrats and Republicans, and how he wouldn't even allow Democrats to participate in anything. Okay? And that was very real. Okay? Because I used to have people call me up all the time and say, "Oh, I reached out, I wanted to participate in this event and have a booth," and they wouldn't call me back, or they wouldn't allow me to have that booth. Okay? All right? This is not like, we have to come together. We have to find a way to work together. We have to understand this is not the America. And what kills me the most, okay, is that this is all because a group of white people don't like people of another color receiving the same benefits that they get, and they would rather them not get the benefits than to see somebody of a different color get those benefits. We all pay taxes. We all deserve equal representation, right? And that means we all are entitled to whatever benefits the government provides.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's
if you can't deal with that, then you don't believe in freedom, you don't believe in our Constitution, and you don't believe in America. And you should really look in the mirror then, because you have more problems than America has.
well, it's that group that really, they're a minority in this country that have basically rigged this system to get themselves into power and to now enact these changes in these policies that Americans are feeling it. Americans are feeling it everywhere, regardless of party lines. We're seeing, and you could tell by the popularity of the president, the popularity of government in total. They told you shouldn't trust government, and so now they're making sure. See, we told you we're not trustworthy. They're running around. Yeah, right. They said they convinced America you shouldn't trust government. Then you got them into power, and they're proving themselves right, that they're not trustworthy. So
But that's been the Republican playbook from day one, right? Government doesn't work. Elect me. And it's not like they're telling you that they will make government work. What they're telling you is we're going to take programs that you need and ensure that they don't work properly, or that money is being wasted, okay, so that we can then prove to you later that we were right.
While they tear down all the good programs that our tax dollars paid for. Now you heard it, right? What was that Easter dinner, right? Trump came out and said, we can't pay for these programs. We can't pay for childcare. We can't pay for Medicare, Medicaid, all these programs, because we got all these wars that he started, by the way, to have to pay for, right? It's all, we need to line the pockets of the war profiteers. It's really what it is. Right.
If you've noticed, right, he makes these comments while kowtowing with billionaires who say, I am not paying 1 penny more in taxes, and are lobbying for additional tax cuts. Okay?
And who's going to pick that up?
If you earned $1 million a year, all right, in the big beautiful bill, you got to take home another $100,000. Okay? Think about that. If you were earning...
Oh no. I think, did he freeze?
$50,000, guarantee you come home. So...
Neil, you froze for a few... You got to repeat that. You froze for a few seconds.
I basically what I said is that the if you earn $1 million, the big beautiful bill gave you an extra $100,000. Okay, if you were blue collar or white collar and you're earning less than $100,000 or less than $250,000, I guarantee you did not walk home with anywhere near that. They gave millionaires and billionaires a windfall and screwed you.
Oh yeah, you're paying more. They said
Yes.
that with the bill, people making like $50,000 are probably paying out an additional $1,000 a year in taxes. And don't forget tariffs themselves. That is a tax on us. That is a tax on the importers, and of course we've now into this whole tariff baloney for like a year. So the importers can't afford to carry that because you don't know what the tariff is going to be. So that's getting passed on to the consumer, and you're seeing higher prices. Well, I thought the promise was, oh, we're going to lower costs. It's exactly the opposite. It's done exactly the opposite of everything.
Oh, and it was just announced today. All right. So I've been talking a lot about energy and in particular oil and gas, right? And I'm not an oil and gas expert, all right, by any stretch. But we've been talking a lot about that because as gas prices go up, everything else goes up, right? The price of everything goes up. Okay? Well, it was just announced today, right? Everybody talking about all those oil tankers coming to the U.S. and how, this is going to make us great again, right? Right? Well, it was just announced by the transportation secretary that we're going to be facing gas and oil shortages.
Oh, didn't we
Right?
talk
In the
about
near
that
future.
weeks ago?
We did. We did. And this is exactly the reason. Those tankers are coming to take our oil. We have oil in this country. They are coming to take it and bring it to Europe where they can get a higher price than they can get here in the United States. Again, capitalism. This is what capitalism is. They are taking our oil, pushing it overseas, and we are going to get stuck with the shortage. Okay? We are not going to have oil in this country. Oil is going to keep going up.
It's not coming down.
I don't understand how people constantly celebrate the bad economic news, right? You get an administration that's rah rah, look at what we're doing, right? Because there's no opposition party who's saying, no, you're wrong. Right? No, they want to censure the people who are telling you that there's a problem, right? They're going out of their way to try to stifle those who are actually telling you what the actual problem is.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point of taking control of media, right? Now we got Ellison going after Warner Brothers, which will give he'll have CBS, Paramount, which I talked about before at the beginning of this episode, but he'll also have CNN and a number of other. I mean, I can't even count.
TikTok.
Plus, he's got TikTok. TikTok. And you've got Meta is under what's his name? Zuckerberg. Yep. And Bezos has the Washington Post. We have the richest people in the world controlling all the information, the media that you get, that comes to you. They can control that now. Hang on, let me see. Oil is traded globally, not locally.
Marty says oil is traded globally, not locally. No matter how many times the orange fat man tells you different and how rich America is becoming, but to be nice, he's a lying sack of shit.
He left that part off. We're filling that in. Yeah.
All right. It's absolutely true. I mean, the issue is there's going to be a gas crisis in this country. All the oil is being taken out. Again, capitalism. We the America that Trump likes to say is getting richer is not we as in America, it's the corporations, right? It's the billionaires, right, who control these companies. Okay? Anytime you hear him talk about how great America's doing, they only qualify America is the elites,
Yeah.
right? When he talks about America, he's not talking about you and me, he's talking about them, right? We are just inventory. We're a commodity. We're just whatever, like we're somebody, we provide money to their businesses, right? Like everything
Yeah.
comes in and goes right out the door. So this is really like what people need to start understanding, that they're not like, start reading between the lines, start hearing what they're actually saying, as opposed to interpreting through Fox News or through your lens of years of propaganda, right?
Yeah.
Like we all have to start understanding that we need to start thinking critically. We're being given brains. We now need to start using those brains and start looking at this stuff from a standpoint of, wait a minute, how does this really impact me? Is this really good? Is the fact that there are 90 tankers in the Gulf, right, lining up, right, so that they can fill up their tankers and take them overseas, how does that benefit me in America? How does that benefit me and my costs?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So Knitter02 says, while this is happening, the government has cut and is getting rid of green energy. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Green energy didn't line his pockets, right? The oil and gas industry did. And so this is no longer loyalty. This is not loyalty to the Constitution. It isn't loyalty to the American people, the voters that voted him in. It's loyalty to the wealthiest class that lined his pockets with billions of dollars. The man's net worth went up $4 billion in a year since the election. That's what this is. That's what it's about. It's about money. Money for them, none for you. Right? Your tax dollars worked for you for years, gave us great programs. Yeah, the bureaucracy might have been a little big. We could have trimmed that down. It's not like it hasn't been done before, but to eliminate these programs, and they're not done. They're not done. Right? But all of you said he's not touching Social Security. He's not. The rest of them are. Months ago, Scott Bessent said that the Trump accounts was a backdoor into privatizing Social Security. So that's on their agenda in the not too distant future. Particularly if I would think they wouldn't do it. You can give me your opinion on this. They wouldn't go after that so aggressively until after the midterms. What do you think?
Listen, I think he's already started the process. I think they're already laid the foundation. They're going after every foundation, every institution. We have to keep in mind, right? Like, and this is exactly what we started talking about tonight, right? Like how it all started. You have to keep in mind when those layers of bureaucracy that prevent you from getting a benefit that you paid for, that you have a right to as an American, okay, that those layers were put in there intentionally, okay? They don't want you partaking of those benefits. They want to make it difficult for you, okay? So what you're seeing is right, this intentional behavior of your politicians, right? Because at the end of the day, they want to get reelected, and they've realized that getting reelected isn't simplifying things and making things easier for you. It's making it harder for you, because when something is hard for you, right, who do you go to for help? You go to these politicians, right? Like, so I make comments all the time about Marjorie Taylor Greene, how she's great in her district, right? You go down to her district, everybody loves Marjorie Taylor Greene because she is always there to help people get through the process. Well, because they set up the process. They know exactly where the process is all screwed up. and they know how to streamline it and get you through it much faster. So then you're beholden to them as your congressperson or as your elected official. Oh my God, thank you so much for helping me with that. I'm so grateful. Not understanding that that person set it up that way, or somebody prior to that person set it up that way for that process to take place, so that you would be beholden to them, right? Like understand that none of this shit needs to be as complex as it is, but it is complex, right? That they put in place because at the end of the day, they know that it'll get them reelected.
Right.
Because then either they can tell you how bad things are, right? And that they're going to fix it, right? Which they never do.
They never
okay?
do.
Right? Or they're like the Democrats who say, "Oh, but this is the system we got, and we provide these wonderful things." But it's not about providing the thing; it's about giving people access so they can get the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go. Better
when I got into being a councilman, right? One of the first things that I learned, that you learn over that first sort of year and a half, right, is you learn about all the wonderful things, right, that your state legislators and that your congressmen have done. Okay? And seriously, there are some really good programs out there. No lie. There is actually some really good fucking programs out there. Either nobody knows about them because the politicians, they pass the good program and they love to tell people about the good program, but then don't tell people how to access the program, right? That's the one thing they don't tell you how to do. So either people don't know about the program or they don't know how to access the program, or accessing the program becomes so cumbersome and so involved, okay, that it's not even worth your time. Try like getting an SBA loan, or try like anything, trying to do anything within the government, even unemployment, right? These are all things that you pay for. These are systems that are supposed to be easy, and they make everything overly complicated on purpose.
Yep.
Okay? So understand, these people are not your friends, okay? They may be your neighbors, but they are not looking out for your interests. Okay? Their interest is to get reelected. Their interest is to do whatever it is that they're going to do. Okay? It's very rare that you get somebody in office who really says, I really want to help. I really want to do something good. I want to get things done. It's very rare to find that.
Yeah. And just to touch on voting, obviously, we're dealing. Oh, hang on. We got a lot of. There we go. Bush is waiting for the next greater president with the new powers and a military force like Ace the Tony said. Yeah. Not sure how to respond to that, but okay.
It's spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
I don't know. But here's the thing with voting. Obviously, we're still sort of dealing with reeling from last week's landmark decision to gut the VRA, the Voting Rights Act, that much further. And right away, as if they already had this teed up, the Republicans jumped out and announced that they are going to redistrict. And Louisiana was one of those states. Louisiana is currently in the midst of their midterm elections. And the governor of the state said, we have a national emergency. We're going to suspend elections so we can go and suspend those midterms so we can go and redistrict. It's a national emergency that we have to redistrict. Now, I know that Mark Elias, well-known attorney who fights for voting rights, is challenging that. So we'll see how that goes. But rather than going into the whole discussion about what the Supreme Court did, I think the biggest challenge here is how we deal with gerrymandering and how we look to the future. Because I think eventually that pendulum is going to swing back, especially with the way things are going. People are not happy with the economy. His numbers are tanking. May not happen right away, may take a generation. I don't know. Really depends on the American people. But I think one of the ways that we can combat gerrymandering is to number one, why do we have to put on registration what party we belong to? That question shouldn't even be there, right? How can they gerrymander if they don't know any parties, right? And
Well,
here's
what
another. Oh, go ahead.
hold on, because I'm going to point something out because you hit the nail on the head. What have I been saying on the show, right, for months now, right? The number of unaffiliated voters outnumber the number of Republicans and Democrats. That is exactly what is happening. What you stated is exactly what's happening. You can gerrymander all you want, right? In every district, the number of unaffiliated voters will outnumber the number of Republicans and Democrats in your district. So that's why it takes courage, right? And you need to look for leaders within your community, right, who actually are principled.
Yes.
And actually will fight for you and not just their own interests.
And I have a follow-up to that, and you can tell me what you think, because I think one of the main reasons why a lot of people stay with the party is because of primaries. And I think primaries were created just for that purpose, just to create this division, right? And the way around primaries and by being an unaffiliated voter is ranked choice voting. Right? Leave them all the way to voting day. Get rid of the primaries and just rank choice them and don't put them down by party. Then you could have a number of Democrats, a number of Republicans, a number of independents in the fight. Wait, say that. Yeah, okay, Marty has a question here, so we're gonna answer that. How do you figure that out before you vote? Well, see, that's it. Why do you need to have your selection narrowed to just this person or that person, a Republican or a Democrat? It's one of the reasons why independents and unaffiliated and how come our parties have grown to have so many different people, right? With ranked choice voting, you'd have a number of different choices, and each person puts who they think would be their first choice. Oh, go ahead.
Here's the answer from Marty. It's beholden on each voter, right, to understand and research who they're voting for, which they are not doing today. They are going in and voting for a party that like really has no platform. You look at both parties; they haven't had platforms in decades, right? Since like the 90s. Okay, they scrapped their platforms in the 2000s. Okay. So they don't have platforms. They're not even running anything. This idea of Republicans are small government and states' rights and Democrats are tax and spend liberals, right? That's all bullshit. That's all bullshit. I'm sorry. The deficit has grown under every Republican president. It shrunk under every Democratic president, right? The whole states' rights, versus federal rights. I mean, we're seeing that now, right? It's all bullshit. It's whatever laws that they want to put in that the billionaires will make them happy, okay? They are not serving you. We will never get ranked choice voting because you have a two-party system already in place that doesn't want to give up power. So they're not going to sit there and give up power, right? So they don't care about democracy.
Oh,
they
no.
could give two shits about democracy. In fact, so there's a former CIA agent that just gave an interview, right? And he said, at the bottom of their list, when they were evaluating countries that they were going to do operations in, the bottom of their list was democracy. That was the bottom. They didn't give a shit. Okay? It didn't matter. Wow. If there was a democratic country that wouldn't work with them, well, we would overthrow that government. Give me a break. Right? This is the principles that we all grew up with, that we all think about, that guide us today, they don't believe it. They never had those beliefs. That never even went through their head. Okay? To attribute our values or anything who we are today to them, right, is absolutely ridiculous, right? They are not you, and you are not them. They don't live in your world. They live in a completely different world than you.
Yeah. So we had a couple of comments.
Yeah,
so
a lot looks like.
What
Whoa.
happened? Oh, you know what I did? Oh, shoot. I hit the wire. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just can't see you. So, Mr. Dash said they can run Tulsi as a candidate for president and influence the final candidate after their withdrawal from the race. Like Tulsi support for Joe Biden after running for a Democratic president. That sounds great for all except like in California, there are so many Democrats running. They're afraid that it's going to water down the final vote and will somehow elect a Republican. You know, Marty, that's a possibility, but that's democracy.
Hang on.
That actually is more of a democracy than a two-party system where Democrats don't have to nominate your person, right? Like we went through an entire cycle where Bernie Sanders, was leading the pack, and had a really good chance of actually winning, right? And Bernie Sanders took Hillary Clinton's people to court and the DNC to court, and what ended up happening? The Supreme Court said, yeah, the parties don't actually have to pick the parties don't have to pick who you vote for. They're an independent corporation. Like, they can do whatever they want. So the rules are set up so that they can pick and choose who they want, and makes it average people can't run or be involved at all. So, ranked choice voting, it's sort of better than the two-party system we have today. Could it be better? Yeah, it could be better. But anything could be better than what we have now. So there's that. It's just like when they were asked about giving us a republic, we got a republic. Is that the best you could do? No, but it's the best we got. It's better than all the others.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, I was moving my camera, and apparently the camera is so sensitive. If you touch the wire and it shifts just a little bit, it shut me off completely. So, except for the sound. So I figured I'd pop back. So I'm just trying to catch up with the chat. So the conversation, I have to go look at my phone because now I can't see. So, what I miss?
No, we're just talking about ranked choice, and Mr. Dash isn't wrong. I mean, that's sort of the problem that you have, is that in a two-party system, you're not always getting the best candidates. Yeah. And that's part of the problem that we have today. And that's why we're constantly going to the poll saying, "Wow, my choice is bad or worse."
Yeah. Yeah, it's so ranked choice kind of opens up that playing field. And yeah, you said it. You have to be a little bit more invested. You'll notice that primaries, usually most people don't even know when the primaries are. And then they're all
upset. Don't vote in a primary.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't even know when they are, let alone vote in it. And so by the time that decision is made, that decision is made and who that candidate's going to be, then they're like, oh, well, I didn't want this person. Well, you know what? There were 5 other candidates there. Did you show up for the primary? So why have to do this twice? If we had ranked choice voting and we got rid of putting parties on registration forms altogether, not even register as unaffiliated, just nobody, the government shouldn't have to know, right? That should be part of your privacy. Okay? And then you put ranked choice voting in, you have a longer election period, right? Longer time to get to know these candidates, which might help to shape your opinion, right? As long as they can put together, a good candidacy. And also, we got to get big money out of politics. That's going to
Oh,
even
you're
hit.
introducing a totally different topic there.
Yeah, yeah, but if you get the big money out of elections, I mean, these people are buying our candidates, even if they were good. Let's say Tulsi Gabbard, who just as a suggestion, was a really good candidate. Well, she's been bought and paid for now. She was able to be bribed to doing whatever they want.
But they're all getting bribed.
Yeah, I know. I know
Right?
it
Like,
sucks.
I mean, and that's sort of the sucky part of the problem, right? I mean, look look at look at the statements that have been made by Governor Gavin Newsom, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for talking about this, but look at something. He's come out and he's flat out stated he's against the wealth tax, right? Flat out, he said that's a non-starter for him, and then he turns around and he says we have to be a big tent, okay? So understand what that means, right? 1% of the Democratic Party a wealth tax would impact. Okay? And he's saying that he has to ignore the other 99% of his party, right? Not even entertaining it in order to be inclusive of that 1%. Right? Like we have to start like realizing these guys are all bought and paid for by the same people. Okay? And they're all beholden to the same people.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got we got a challenge ahead of us. We got to Unfortunately, I know a lot of people really don't like to get involved in politics, but we really do need to be on our elected officials' asses, both locally, statewide, and federally. And it's the only way, as someone once said, when your government fears the people more than they fear themselves, then they'll start listening. And that's unfortunately, we got our hands full, but that's what we got to do. So anyway, as we're winding up, our hour is coming to an end here. Does anybody have any final thoughts? Do you have any questions? Anything that you'd like us to comment on? We've been doing all the talking here. And first of all, thank you for all of you who have participated. I missed some comments, but I'm afraid to move. My camera is right in line with the line of chat, so I will have to look at them later. But if you have any comments or anything, Neil's watching; he can read them and let us know. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, yeah, you're right. That's true. So Marty just said a lot of people didn't get involved in a civil war, but they knew they had no choice if they wanted to keep a country. Yeah.
Listen, when FDR was in power, all right, and he brought the tax like 90% on the top tier, right, and he instituted a war tax, right? You can't profit off the war, war profiteering tax. Um, when he did those things, he was not popular, you know, and the wealthy actually tried to put together an army to overthrow him. Like, let's remember that, right? Like they tried to put forth an army to overthrow him. Okay, um, you know, the idea was as though when he came out and he said I saved capitalism, and he did.
Yeah.
We were headed towards fascism. We were headed toward the same group that was taking over Europe at the time, the Nazis. We were headed in that direction.
Yeah.
Okay? And it took a billionaire like FDR to come forward and say, "Yeah, not on my watch." Right? Because at the end of the day he was a patriot. these billionaires aren't patriots. Most of them were never even in this country. They didn't grow up here. You know, Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, they're both South Africans. Like they
Yeah.
grew up under apartheid. Like apartheid is what they grew up with. That's normal to them.
So they're fine
You
doing
know?
it here.
Right. So I think we just need to, like, as I said, we just need to be a little bit more cognizant of what's going on. And I think Mr. Dash on here, right? He basically stated, that Democrats and Republicans are playing good cop, bad cop to take your money and your freedoms. Okay? And
Right on.
I think I've stated that on this show numerous times that what we see is very performative. Okay? It's meant to give us the illusion that we live in a two-party system, right? When in fact we don't.
There it is. Well, on that note, do we have anything positive we can say?
Oh yeah, me, Mr. Positive.
Oh yeah. Neil. I always ask Neil, near the end, do you have anything positive to answer? He never has an answer. There's never answers.
Listen, I appreciate everybody tuning in and watching us. You guys are always great. Thank you very much. This is absolutely fantastic. Me and Denise enjoy doing this every week for you guys, and kind of giving you our take on things, and hopefully we can continue it.
Yeah.
And please like, share, subscribe. We can't do this and without the support of the community that we represent. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And we got a couple of final comments here. Mr. Dash is, please, the last billionaire had said, yep. Yeah. And that's what's running the country right now. It will be the next one.
Yep.
Oh, wait, there we go. Marty's giving us the positive comment. Baseball season is underway. Marty is a big Yankee fan. Actually, I think he said
could have been the Mets. That's for sure.
Bo Sox.
No, the Mets are losing like hysterically bad.
They're always losing.
No, you know what? Listen. I the one thing I enjoy the most, and I know Mets fans are gonna hate me because I'm a Yankee fan too. But Mets fans are gonna hate me for saying this, right? There's nothing I enjoy more than watching the optimism of Mets fans going into the All-Star break. That's always the best. I'm sorry. I hope I don't lose any fans that are Mets fans, but that was always great to watch. Because you knew it was gonna fall apart after the All-Star break.
Oh my God.
Well, they have a bad management team over there. Again, I go with management. Right? Management is the key to everything in life. You have a good management team, you're going to have a good team. Right? No matter what business. You have bad management, you
have what we have now.
Shit goes south real quick.
Yeah. So, we got it.
Marty's piling on. He's like, yeah, like when they have a huge lead going into the All-Star break and end up in 4th place.
Yep. Yeah, that's Marty. It.
Yep.
All right, folks, we're going to wind up here. Thanks so much for your participation. It really means a lot. And again, if you make sure you're subscribed. If you haven't, sometimes we might show up on your feed, but if you don't click that subscribership, then you might miss us down the road. Yes, Marty does love the Yankees. And also...
Oh, I thought he was saying he loves us. Oh, man.
No, he loves the Yankees. Cute. So anyway, again, like, share, subscribe, all that other stuff. Thanks for commenting. And click the bell so you get notified when our recorded our recorded content drops. And also when we're live again. All right, guys, we love you, and we will see you soon. Take care. Be safe.
Peace out.